And there we are. Memories of Lenore by Joe Moloney. My gift to Lenore with love. It's August 29th, 1959, and it is our wedding day. Lenore looks stunning in her wedding dress. After the wedding, her words were, "I will never need this dress again. I will gift it to a religious order to be worn by nuns as they take their final vows in religious life. I have always thought it would be nice if our daughters had it to wear on their wedding day. It just didn't happen."
When I was a kid, I'd always look at your wedding day photo and dream that I would wear that wedding dress one day too. Nothing compared to how you looked. And I was always so sad that you didn't have the dress anymore, and I imagined that one day I would have it remade. And I still think that maybe I will if that day ever happens for me, but I just want you to know that you are the most beautiful person I'd ever seen, and you still are.
Then Lynn was born and Joe was all feet and no hands. However, Lenore, with her parenting skills, we got the job done.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
Hi, Mom. I wanted to tell you about a memory I had the other day. We were watching a rerun of an old movie. I think it was a Joan Crawford movie, and I was 6 or 7. And for some reason, we were talking about hair color, and I asked you, if a redhead had red hair, why wouldn't someone with black hair be a blackhead? And you laughed and laughed. I didn't get the joke, but I did understand from that example and so many others that language is powerful and fun. You read to me from an early age. You took me to the library every Saturday. You got me my own books. Let's not forget Nancy Drew. And you showed me how much fun it was to go into those new worlds in the books that were available to me. You kept making language fun for me. You showed me Scrabble, cryptoquips, jumble words, all sorts of crosswords. Then you taught me all the hints and ways to do things. And language became really important to me. And you celebrated silly things like when I said to you when I was learning to tie my shoes, "Mom, make this knot, not a knot." And then when Paige said to me at about the same age, "There's more than 2 twos," I had to call you and let you know because I knew you would enjoy that story about language.
I love you, Mom. Happy birthday. There's 3 things I'd use to describe you: stunningly beautiful, fiercely defensive, and my favorite teacher. When I was 10 and you were 38, you and Dad had a date night and you were getting together with your brothers and sisters. You came out of your bedroom and you were wearing your new clothes that you'd gotten on a recent shopping excursion. That and a date were rare things for you. You walked down the hallway to the foyer and had on tall black boots with high heels. You had a pencil skirt on and a sexy sweater and that red lipstick. No other makeup, and you just shone. You were so beautiful. For some reason, we were all gathered in the foyer and we all looked in awe. You were modest, Dad was proud, and we all could feel your love.
One of my favorite stories about Grandma was when she taught me to make cherry cheesecake. I was probably 11 or 12, and she walked me through it, and we made it, and I was so proud to have everybody eating the cherry cheesecake that I made. It was probably for Pat's birthday or Thanksgiving or something. And then a few years later, Grandma called me out of the blue looking for the recipe for my cherry cheesecake, as if it had not been hers ever. So, I'm so glad that I get to continue making Grandma's cherry cheesecake.
It's pretty hard to sum up everything that Grandma is in just one word or one adjective, which is why I think that proud is maybe the best way to put it. I think she was proud of every one of her kids, her grandkids, her brothers, her sisters, everyone around her. Proud and happy to be a part of their successes and their failures and their growth. I think that proud is the best word that I can think of to really describe Grandma.
I love you.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm the 4th child of Joe and Lenore,
And I was the favorite until they realized I wasn't a boy, and then Pat returned to being the favorite.
So first off, Mom, happy birthday. The impact that I want to talk about is around your counseling, your advice that's significantly changed my life. The first one I want to talk about is when I went to buy my first car, and I had it in my head that what I wanted was a two-door red Nissan Sentra. And I came down to Peterborough to buy the car, and I talked to the dealership, and they thought they could do it for me, but they came back and said no, all they had was a four-door red Nissan 5-speed, and I was angry and frustrated, and I was pouting about it because it wasn't what I wanted. And you took me aside and you said, by the time you pay for that car, you'll be married with kids, and you'll want those extra back doors to put the car seats in. And lo and behold, by the time I paid for that car, I was married and had kids in car seats, and they fit in the back seat.
I remember the countless summers I spent at the farm, adventuring in the barns, and always finding love and comfort with you back at the house. We love you.
When I was a kid, I had a really big imagination, and I used to draw a lot. And I imagined all these beautiful outfits, and you actually created costumes for me, and you taught me how to sew. And I wasn't a natural, but I remember being really proud when I did my first double knot, and you helped me make my dance costume when I was 7 or 8, this green under the water sea outfit. And you helped me make Barbie dresses, and my grade 8 graduation dress you made for me. And then that experience trying to make that dress for my master's class and having a breakdown, and you were so patient with me. And just looking back and realizing that for me it was just these dreams and imagination, and for you it was something that could be real. And when I look at cloth means so much to me because you make cloth come to life.
I remember one of the times that I got to be alone with Mom, and I treasure so much, is when Mom would have a bath. I'm sure that was when she wanted to be alone, but I actually got to be alone with her. And we would talk, and I would sit on the toilet seat and just chat with her. And I remember that she taught me to whistle one time, and that was simply by imagining that you had crackers in your mouth. And Mom also taught me how to do the twist, which is when you pretend to be stubbing at a cigarette and toweling off your bath. But mostly I remember those times in the bathtub when I got to be alone with Mom. And they were better times in the bathtub than when I was in the bathtub and Mom came to wash my hair, and she would pour hot water into a jug and pour it over my hair to make it wet. And then she would put the shampoo in, and she had the sharpest nails, I believe they're called talons, and she would use those to scrub my scalp until near bleeding. And then, of course, rinse it out again with some hot water out of the tap. So 2 very, very strong memories of the bathroom, but one warmer than the other. But still, very, very good memories of my mom that I will always treasure.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
Thanks for all those amazing summers at the farm.
There's so many stories of you coming to my defense. Remember when the principal called to report on my vocabulary? You said, holy shit, what did she say? And then when you found out all I said was shit, you told them to get me back in class and stop wasting time. Another less told story was when I was moving into my apartment in second year university. Wow, I've never seen anything that bad before or after. And the landlord wouldn't repair it. You got them to come through, but they all, not only did you get them to come through, but you stayed with me, and together we made it livable. Ironically, you were the real engineer in the family.
I think one of my favorite memories or jokes kind of growing up, spending time at the farm was often when I would sleep in a little bit later than I probably should have. And I'd wander up the stairs, and Grandma would be in the kitchen, usually cooking lunch at this point. And I'd usually get a joke coming my way, either about missing breakfast, or something along the lines of, oh look, the dead have risen again. So that encouraged me to get up earlier, but I don't know if it really worked. But you know what? She tried. She really did try.
I have some great memories, but I think my most favorite is the one when I first met you. Pat took me to the farm. I think it was just on a whim. We got there and you opened your arms and we sat down, had a great meal together. And then you pulled out the screens, the screen and all the reels, and I got to see all the pictures of Pat and his sisters when they were younger, and you guys with the Collins family and the Moloneys. And that day, I was completely welcomed into your home, and I've felt a part of it ever since. Thank you. Love you.
So Annette and I made a decision, I guess it'd be about 1990, to move in together with each other. And Annette said, before you do anything, you need to go and talk to your mom. You need to go talk to your parents. And so I came home, came down to the farm, and I sat down with Mom, and I said, Mom, I want to talk to you something, that's private. So we went into, kind of a room by ourselves, and I said, Mom, listen, Annette and I made a decision that we'd like to move in together. And she said, oh, do you mean you just be sharing a house? I said, no. I said, we'd be living together. And she said, would you be having, sharing a bedroom? And I said, yeah, that's what that would mean. And she said, would you have separate beds? And I said, no, Mom, we'd have the same bed. And she said, oh. She had thought about that one for a little while. And then she said, are you planning on getting married? And I said, yeah, you know what, Mom, I think that she's the one. Actually, Mom, I said, I know she's the one. And I said, yeah, we are. It is something that we're going to do. And she said, well, I'm okay with it then. So I drove back to Toronto, and Annette was waiting to hear about my discussions with my mom. So I recounted it and talked about how I explained that we were actually going to be living together, and that meant that we were actually in the same bed and all that kind of stuff. And I explained that how Mom had asked if we were getting married, and I told Annette that, yeah, I told Mom that we were getting married. And Annette looked at me, and she was totally confused. And she said, are you proposing to me? And I go, well, yeah, I guess I am. And she said, oh, do you have a ring or anything? And I go, no, I just thought I'd come and tell you about my conversation with my mom. She goes, oh my God. So probably the worst proposal of all time, but it turned into one of the greatest marriages of all time. So 26 years later, that's how it started. And Annette is still waiting patiently for me to re-propose and do it properly. But that's how it happened. Thanks.
Yep, come right away. Yeah, press the button. Gigi. You can give Gigi a kiss. Give Gigi a kiss. No. No? Blow kisses? Go. Mwah. 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 Mwah, Gigi.
Happy birthday, Lenore.
I remember coming here most of the summer actually, and lots of weekends. And I remember playing on the haystacks with Paige. I'm surprised we never got injured. And walking through the fields, and I thought that the little stream over the hill was the stream that takes you to Narnia. And I remember when I once saw a rainbow and I was sure that it was the rainbow that leads to the pot of gold, and everything about the farm was magical. You always made sure that the farm was a safe home for me and Paige, and you would put out pots and bowls for me to drum to, and you'd let me play in the good living room with all my Barbies. And it was always very much our home, not a place to visit. And for me, that created a bigger world than most kids have.
You made sure that we always had books, whether we got them at the library or you bought them for us. You showed us the importance of words. And so it was so important for me to read to my two kids, and now I read to my grandchildren. And when I read books, I think about you, Mom, because this was the gift you gave us. Words, 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 the power of language. And because of language, my whole life changed. And I thank you for that, Mom. I want you to know how much I love you, and I hope that you have a wonderful birthday. The end.
I remember when I was little, we were living at Park Street, the cars that would go by on Park Street would shine in the curtains, and it looked like ghosts on the wall, and I would always be afraid, and I would run into Mom and Dad's room and tell them that I was scared, and there was never any room in the bed, but they allowed me to sleep at the end of the bed, and I loved that. And I have another memory on Park Street South where I guess, Mom, you'd be doing the dishes or cooking something in the kitchen, and there was a chalkboard over by the area into the bathroom, and I remember doing my numbers and my alphabet on that chalkboard while you'd be doing the things you're doing or talking on the phone. So I have very clear memories of that from being a child there on Park Street.
I wanted to thank you for everything that you have done for Paige and I, and Rowan and Pippa over the years. You've been a warmth and a comfort to me. I didn't get to grow up for very long before I lost my grandparents, and it has been incredible the last 5 years because you've made me feel like I've had grandparents again. And I wanted to say that I love you, and that I am so grateful for the granddaughter that you helped raise and everything that you've done for your family. Happy birthday.
There are several things about you that I admire and that I hope I can learn from and become as I continue to experience things. And the first one is your patience. You're the most patient person. The second one is you're always ready to love. And even though you'd always say you too, when I said I love you, I always knew that that meant that you love me too. And finally, you are so capable of letting things go. And I get really irritated by people. And you seem to be able to just brush it off, and it's incredible to see, and I hope that I'm able to become more like you.
Mom was always in the kitchen, baking and cooking, and transferring her skills to us, but I think more by osmosis than actual training. And I know this because my first year at university, Domenica and I made turkey dinner at Thanksgiving for the whole residence. Just, I think, remembering how my mom did it, although of course I did make 29 phone calls to you, Mom, but really just watching you and learning made me the cook I am today.
My last memory to share was doing the dishes with you as a kid. You would teach me riddles. Remember, all the digits of the number sum to something that's divisible by 9, then the entire number is, and if the last two digits sum to a number that's divisible by 4, then the whole number is. There were thousands of them. So 15 years later, I was in university in algebra class, and I was like, my mom taught me that when I was 5, except it was fun then. So in that class, that day, I learned you were my favorite teacher. I love you, Mom. Happy birthday.
Fast forward to 2002, and it was time for our cattle dispersal sale. A sale that was the best sale ever held in the community. Thanks to Lenore, who did all the paperwork, prepared the records, we got the job done again. Lenore does all the heavy lifting, and Joe gets all the accolades. And now as we move into the twilight of our life, we have our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, who we love dearly. Our family tree is alive and well. And now as we move into the battle of our life, it is a fight that I think we can win. Lenore and I will go down the road together. I love you, Lenore. We will always be together. Stay strong, and we will win this fight. Love always, Joe.